As we're starting off, we're just waiting to all our platforms to sync up. So once we're live on every platform, we'll do introduction and officially get started. Excited to have Dr. Jessica Matthews back on the podcast. So if you're watching on LinkedIn or any of our social medias, feel free to put some questions in the chat, add to the discussion. That's kind of our main topic, how to have hard talks for our profession. So we'll get started here very shortly. Okay, and we're live, so we're gonna get started right now. Welcome back to Coach Connect. Here's where we explore the stories and strategies and insights from trailblazers who are transforming the world of coaching and well-being. What drives their success and what fuels their passion for helping others. We're here to uncover their secrets and share them with you. This show is brought to you by Vibely.io, the all-in-one coaching platform designed to empower coaches with tools, resources, and support we need to help our clients thrive and achieve meaningful, long-lasting growth. I'm Dr. Diego Salinas, your guide on this journey. As a neuroscientist, physician, and health coach, and co founder of Vibely, I'm committed to celebrating the incredible work of coaches everywhere and helping them unlock their full potential. So, together, let's dive in deep into what makes coaching a powerful force of change. I'm excited today to bring back Dr. Jessica Matthews. She's a tenured professor and industry leader in the field of lifestyle, medicine, and health and wellness coaching. An award winning educator, she's created graduate degrees and professional certification programs at several colleges in Southern California, including the Masters of Science in Integrative Wellness program at Point Loma Nazareth University, for which she serves as program director. Additionally, Dr. Matthews serves as director of health coaching at UC San Diego Health. There, she has led the integration of health and wellness coaching services with both clinical practice and research, to include overseeing a team of national board certified health and wellness coaches in the Centers for Integrative Health. A passionate advocate for whole person health, Dr. Matthews previously served as interim executive director and chair of the board of directors for the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches, with volunteer services to the organization in several board leadership spanning from 2019 to 2025. Additionally, she is board certified in lifestyle medicine and serves on the board of directors of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine from 2020 to 2023. In 2021, Dr. Matthews was named a fellow of the ACLM for outstanding achievements in the field of lifestyle medicine and exceptional dedication to advancing the organization's mission. Presently, she serves on Pritkin Scientific Advisory Board, providing a subject matter expertise in areas of health behavior change. With extensive professional experience and propensity for driving innovation and change, Dr. Matthews is the co-creator of the Health and Wellbeing Coaching Conference, the first dedicated professional conference for health and wellness coaches. You can learn more about the conference at www.thehealthandwellbeingcoachingconference.com and on Instagram at Health Coaching Conference. Okay, so Dr. Matthews, Jess, pleasure to have you back on the episode today to kind of focus more on this really exciting community event that you've really created for the coaching community.
Oh, Diego, always a treat. I say that genuinely. You know my heart always, but I mean the words that I say. It's just, I love these conversations. I always appreciate the time to chat. Of course, so excited because in just a little over 3 weeks, we are getting back together for the Health and Wellbeing Coaching Conference. Third year of the event. It's amazing to reflect on, even when you were giving me that warm introduction. Just, yeah, that conference has been just real. I mean, the community coming together in that intentional way. Yeah, it's exciting. So I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, and for those of you who didn't see the episode she was on about a month ago, we lightly touched on the conference. Today we're going to do a deeper dive. So in case maybe just those that didn't watch the prior episode are tuning in today, if you want to maybe give maybe a background on your kind of background in health and well-being, but maybe more how this conference started a little bit, maybe taking from there, like what was the impetus to start this conference, and what did you see as a need that you want to really bring to the community that was missing?
Absolutely. Well, it's exciting to reflect on, yeah, how do great things come to fruition? To be honest, it often starts with discerning what are we missing? What don't
Mm,
we have presently? So it's been wonderful. You highlighted a few aspects of my own personal career journey. Of course, 7 years of service with the National Board for Health and Wellness Coaching in a variety of leadership roles, both on the board and then my last Passover as interim executive director and chair of the board of directors. It's been wonderful. I start with the excitement of what's happening in our field of health and
mm,
wellness coaching to see the establishment of a unified credential For people who don't know about my background, I came from the credentialing and education space in the exercise profession. So I had really firsthand, intimate, and leadership knowledge of what's really needed to not only establish, but to really grow and evolve a field. And so coming
Mm,
into health and wellness coaching throughout my career, I really saw the opportunity as great work has happened, unify the profession, have that unified credential, to create standards for training and education programs. Of course, that's speaking to my heart as an educator, a classically trained educator. But I only say what's also missing though. So as this field has
mm,
been evolving and rapidly evolving in the last, I mean, goodness, the first board exam, I sat for it in fall of 2017. It was only fall of
yeah,
2017. It wasn't all that long ago, just for context. So we've done
yeah,
a lot, and there's things that really are going to be needed to propel us forward. What I saw, the
yeah,
opportunity to connect to the conference, and really the co founder is my wonderful husband. We talked about this since 2018, the need for really an objective. And I say that intentionally. There's a lot of different voices out in the field. There's a lot of different vested business interests, if I'm just being truthful, Diego, as an
yeah,
entrepreneur.
yeah,
I can state that from one to another. We
for sure.
recognize in a professional field, you need a space to bring the people together. The field is the people, Diego. I mean, like that's
Yeah,
what the conference is to bring people together, like-minded, passionate, dedicated people to say, how do we get better together? How do we learn, grow, and evolve? And how do we create real change? Like we all believe in the power of health and wellness coaching, but to be honest, if we're just out in isolation doing that, we won't get the momentum that's possible. Look at that. I set off balloons, Diego. Like, is it a celebration? It is a celebration. The people coming together, that's everything to us. And that really was the
yeah.
impetus of creating the Health and Wellbeing Coaching Conference.
Yeah, wow, and I was also lucky able to go last year, and really it's community, right? We talk about community being medicine for people, and one thing I've seen as a fellow kind of educator and passionate member of this field is you talk to so many coaches one on one, and they have both a lot of great ideas and they a lot of ideas from moving the field forward, but they often feel in isolation, right? They're like, "What am I going to do?" Or "I don't know how to do this with." And one kind of shared mission there, vibe, is that community of coaches. I was like, let's put them all together in a room and see what happens when they actually support each other and kind of work on going from brain stage ideation phase to like, well, what are we going to do to actually support us and supporting others? So really, I would say something you mentioned earlier about vested interests. One thing, I was talking to a coach this 2 weeks ago, maybe, who I knew, and she asked me about this conference and she was wanting more information. And I said, really, it's just so different than other conferences I've been to, right? It's not just a bunch of flyers and promotion and talking about how we grew someone's ROIs and this. It was really just felt like a continuation of what almost like a reunion of what my alumni program should be, right? When you train, like, okay, we all graduated, we got our things, we're coming back together. What is your experience been like? What are you seeing in your local communities, or what should we do on a bigger scale too? It really had that think global, act local kind of feel to it.
Oh, you said like that makes my heart smile because that's what we wanted for the conference. Because, and I
Yeah.
share this again as a longtime speaker myself. I've spent time at a lot of different conferences and events, and I just say that so lovingly. There were so many things that I said, if we're going to do this conference, I won't do those things. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just a little bit of maybe you hear a little rebellious spirit in there, but I say that meaning to not detract from the human beings that are the profession. We want to be
Mm.
able to provide high quality education. I mean, that to me should be standard and expected at every conference. I mean, it doesn't always
Yes.
happen, Diego. It doesn't always happen, Diego, but that should be a standard. I mean, my assumption. Every conference should have high quality education if it's going
Yeah.
to be continuing education to further your development in a professional field. I mean, we're
Yeah.
bringing, as you know from last year, we had Dr. Bill Miller, the creator of
Yeah.
motivational
I
interviewing.
had
We had
lunch with him at the conference. That blew my mind. I was like, I'm sitting with
well, in
him
that
and
part, Diego,
Linda
like
Bark and
and the fact that I mean, yeah, people like Linda Bark, Michael Arlosky. I mean, just
yeah.
the great minds in our field and the practitioners in our field, the people who are doing the doing. That is my unofficial phrase of the people who are out there leading these changes. They're in the
Yeah.
community creating, systems by which community members can connect with health and wellness coaches. You know what? We'll have some of those on panels this year saying, here's what I've
Yeah.
built in this area, how you could consider replicating this in your area. We bring those people and give them not only voice and space for the stage, again, objectively. They're not there to sell anything, hawk
Yeah.
any products. I mean, I just cut to the chase. That is what makes our conference different. And I love that you
Right.
mentioned, and then you'll go have lunch. If you're in person in San Diego, you're having lunch with that speaker. I mean, like, this is how a conference should be. It's
Yeah.
uniting all the people. There's no separation between, the idea of figureheads and there's a person or people who are the only voices in our field. I don't subscribe to that. So I hope everyone loves my
Yeah.
enthusiasm. I don't subscribe to that because I've seen the power of bringing real practicing coaches together. And I know this is what you're all about with Vibely as well.
Yeah.
What we can do together, not waiting for one or two people to tell us how it's going to go. Let's create what we want to see together. So that's what the conference is all about.
Yeah. There is a sense, as you mentioned, that Jess, of like this equality, we're on the same page, right? That okay, yeah, Bill Miller, right, wrote a book on this stuff and create these programs. But their ideas, someone who just came up training 2 years ago might have a brand new idea for their community that the people who pay the road would have never seen. And it wasn't that we're one above the other. It's more like how do we bring this together? And I appreciate your focus on educational materials and learning here because I felt like when I went to medical conferences where you're going lectures on topics that you can apply afterwards. It's not just like general jargony. Oh, we're going to use AI for the future to this and this. It was like, and it was a wide range. There was clinical thing or things that are clinical for your practice. There was talks about diversity and inclusion, kind of group coaching, kind of the field and insurance. It really had us. I think you did a really good job curating all the different parts that it means to be a coach, not just only clinical skill set, but we're not talking about how to get clients, not just only marketing sales, or we're not talking about how to do appropriate MI techniques, right? It really has all encompassing.
I appreciate it. And that it really is, there's so much thought that goes into the planning of the program. I mean, just to really
Yeah.
think about, again, what will provide the greatest value to the people who come to our conference. I mean, that's what we're all
Mm.
about. Like, if we're going to host an event, I want to over deliver. And that is, we have become known, Diego. You do know a bit. Maybe we'll talk about some surprise and delight in store. I
Yeah.
don't want to give away all the surprise, but maybe we'll highlight a few things. But we're known for over delivering. But it should really be that thoughtful composition of topics. And it shouldn't just be things in theory. I mean, theory's lovely. Again, I appreciate that as someone trained, in health behavior change and understand the science. But it also needs to be highly practical and applicable to the real world with a
Yeah.
whole array of places in which coaching happens. So, yes, it's not only clinical. It's not only in the corporate sector. It's not only digital health. It's all of those things. And so we really do take a lot of time and care to think about bringing together the right speakers, talking about the right topics at the right moment in time.
Mm.
And then, of course, we want to make it super accessible for people. We want to over deliver value, but we want all coaches to be a part of this. Like, this is our event. We say it's for the people, by the people, with the people. Like, this is for us. And I think it's
Yeah.
really at this moment what I see, particularly year 3 of the conference, but this moment feels really critical for our field. The natural growing pains that come with an emerging profession. We want to be a
Yeah.
space we can lean into those hard conversations, Diego. We can share, hey, here's where I'm struggling. Things have been great. We appreciate all the great things that have happened in the field to date, and stuff still needs to be done. And how are we going
Yeah.
to do it and do it together? And that's what we really want the takeaway from the conference to be. It's a catalyst for change. Like, it's not just a conference come and then it ends and we say, see you next year. We want it to be the catalyst for change that will come after the conference when we conclude in mid-October.
Yeah, and to before we dive into some of those topics, that's what I really want to like dive into. Just that last phrase you mentioned. I think I mentioned this last episode too. It really was about not just what happens those 3 days. During that time, Angelina Londano, another coach who's also another teacher at a different program, um, she made an announcement quickly. Hey, for any bilingual coaches who speak Spanish, anyone wants to kind of come up and have a little chat. And so a few of us went to the front of the podium, and a year later, we still meet. We have a WhatsApp group every 2 months. We're meeting October 2nd, I think, our next meeting. We take turn presenting, sharing resources on bilingual support. I know her and some Adam Martinez, who started the Houston program, actually helped with them as well. So really, that intention is coming through. I've seen it in my local little community, but people saying, how can we? I met other collaborators through this, and it really has that feel of a catalyst. Yeah, let's put it all together. Let's remove these barriers and let people be in a space where they're motivated, encouraging. while still being realistic, I think is the important part, right? And so it's not this like, oh, we're gonna solve everything with a magic wand and smile. It's like, yeah, we know the potential. I think all coaches see the potential, and we know we're not at our potential yet as an industry, right? So, with that said, Jess, I'm curious, like, what are the things that you've I don't know how much you want to share about the topics there, or what you've been hearing the zeitgeist, so to speak. We mentioned it's a kind of critical period. What are those things that you think are really we need to address as a profession or as an industry?
Yeah, and I appreciate. I love like the lean into the hard stuff. And I only say it's what's interesting also about the conference, and again, what it's in store for this year. I'll answer your question. We should really think about it from a coach perspective, right? Like,
Mm,
we don't like shy away from when we're working with real human beings. We're navigating. They want to make change, and change is hard. change,
yeah.
change is hard, and it doesn't happen overnight. So I only want to say again for context. I give reference to we're really about what 8 years into a more formalization of the field. Like we just also have to appreciate, wow, we've done a lot. That's amazing.
Yes.
And here's
Yeah.
the critical part though, in any emerging profession, again, you can look to other health professions. They've all been down the same road, athletic trainers, physical therapy. I mean, just talk with anyone. Again, beauty of being in a college of health sciences with other collaborators in those spaces, all went through similar things. But here's the real kind of challenges that I see, I hear, and we're definitely going to lean into at the conference. People want to understand, is this going to be something, health and wellness coaching, is this something that is going to be, integrated into healthcare? Is it going to be reimbursed? I say this, Diego, sitting in a seat for 8 years behind the
Mm,
scenes of healthcare. Yeah, there's a lot of challenges to that. How do you
yeah.
really create this as something sustainable in the future? So, you know what we're doing this year? We have the amazing innovators from the VA. The VA has
Mm,
been the leader. If you want to talk
yeah.
about clinical integration, I have no idea why we're not saying this so much more loudly in the field. The VA is the model for this. I mean, they have been
Hmm.
overwhelmingly. Now, again, there's uniqueness to their system that won't apply. I'm in an academic health center. That'll be a little different than in a private practice. I mean, you know this as a physician, but yet we can learn so much from what they've been able to do. The challenges they face, they're going to talk about those. The
Mm,
successes they've had, they're going to talk about those, and also where we see us going forward. So I name that because I'm very excited to have the team from the VA who's been leading this, and they were
mm,
huge. The VA was huge behind. So in case people don't know history, the VA, and I named particularly Kavitha Reddy, was instrumental in the Category 3 CPT codes, the temporary codes that we have for coaching. And I use them in clinical practice. They really have played such a key role. And so, how wonderful at this moment in time. Let's bring the people who've been doing the doing, Diego. So they're going to be
wow.
there, but that's not the only space. And that's the part you
Yeah.
mentioned earlier. The clinical integration of coaching is huge, and it's not everything. So we also have a
Yes.
panel I'm super excited about. We have great panels. Angelina was on a panel last year that was phenomenal, closed the conference. This panel this year is actually about coaching in the real world. That's the title of the session.
Nice.
Coaching in the
Yeah.
real world across sectors. So, what is happening with employee well being? What is happening with the connection between clinic and community? What's happening on college campuses? And what's happening in the
Hmm.
digital health space? We will have actual people who are leading these endeavors sharing their insights, sharing where their pain points are, and then opening dialogue. We love having
Mm,
really engaging sessions. So those are just a few
yeah.
sneak peeks that you can tell I'm like a tiny bit jazzed about this year.
Yeah. So, I mean, me too. So to give the VA one credit, kind of what they've done, and correct me if I misspeak here. I remember speaking to last year, I think it was at the conference maybe, or right before afterwards, to Jennifer Ludman. She used to be the program director for the NBHC, the program approval specialist. And we're talking about CPT codes, and people are getting upset. Well, why is it taking so long, and this and this? And she told me something again. I didn't double check this. I trust her. She said it took less time to develop CPT codes for coaching or getting approved at least than it took when it started radiologists to approve for X-ray reading. Now, granted, it was probably more infancy of the AMA when that happened, but just to give you, I think people don't understand what a behemoth and how slow some of these industries are, and that the boards has done tremendous work in a short amount of time, and we should acknowledge that and say that's a foundation for the tremendous work left to do. This is only that starting point. It's like we just graduated from a coach training program. That's where we're as an industry. We're there, but now we want to go to the master's programs, be more integrated too. If I could add one more thing here, Jess, as you transition between those two topics, that's something that I'm really passionate about too. Clearly, as a former healthcare worker and physician, I see the what drew me to health and wellness coaching was amazing impact to be able to change the biggest bottleneck in health and well-being, which is behavior change. It's not in prescribed medications and taking the medication, or maybe even better, skills over pills, right? That said, while I'm so passionate about this, and I do want there to be more coverage and more access, I also think we've put such a shiny. We understand the potential. If this unblocks, this would be remove the objections from people. Well, the cost. But let's be real here too. Plenty of people can afford a session every other week, right? And so we don't need that to be. We need to wait for that to do more outreach. And also, I don't want to limit health coaching to only diagnostic models. The CPT codes, those things require a diagnosis in order to work and build them. What drew me to coaching was that you do not need a diagnosis to want to get better. I don't need to have a panic attack to work on stress management. I was not overweight when I worked on physical movement with my coach. I had no diagnosable things about my weight, but I wanted to improve my physicality, right? So I think it's also that coaching the real world, how much more it can go in the pre-diagnostic or maybe trans-diagnostic, may put stages.
I was like, I want to say an amen, Diego, when you just were like, yes, yes. And this is why, again, the clinical models, and of course, I've, vested my time, energy, and effort in really trying to untangle. I mean, our team at UC San Diego Health worked with the national board, worked with the health educators group to come together to say, let's gather data, let's do all those things. So that work, I don't want to downplay it because, like you said, it's exciting, but that's not the only piece. I also don't want to go downline, but we also don't know if and when those codes actually get approved. What are they going to be reimbursed at? I mean, like the dollars and cents will always speak dollars and cents. But what you shared about, and that's another aspect of the programming for the, you'll see the intentionality continue to come through. The closing session for this year is really focused on individuals' own coaching practice. So we have Jen Wright, we have Meg Rue. I mean, talk about a dream team of just people, the doers of the doing, really sharing insights about what to think about too for your own coaching practice. And then I share excitingly, because I alluded to it last time we were together and then we officially announced it, but I'll share it here. In over delivering value, we also have a post-conference session, 3.5 hours, a half day with an award-winning business coach, Jennifer Britton. If you're familiar with group coaching, Jennifer literally wrote the books on it. I mean, the books that were referenced in creating the group coaching competencies that the national board led, like it's Jennifer Britton. She's phenomenal. And we're going to dive into really a coaching business building lab. Not talk about it in theory and in just like light, get in the trenches and actually build it. If you've been sitting on a business, if you've started a business, but you're like, you know what? It's not going that good. Like I'm not really getting, reaching my people. I don't know how to structure the pricing. I'm unsure what to offer. We're going to actually work on your business, like work on it so that you can go out and reach people, because that's a huge untapped area. And if I'm being really truthful, what I've heard, this is just me, one person, an N of one out in the world, but it's just like, oh, coaches, go start your business. Well, Diego, I don't know about you. Most of us didn't learn. I mean, I am an entrepreneur and I've been doing this for a long time. Most people didn't learn this. We didn't go to school. We don't have an MBA. We didn't learn this. This wasn't part of curriculum in being in a health profession. But I'm going to come back to that in a moment, Diego. But only to say we need to actually learn. We need the knowledge, and then we need the skills, and we need to be actually held accountable. Sounds like coaching, to do the reps and actually build that business. And of course, I'm speaking your language with, again, I know what Vibely really started around is saying, we don't have to be the coders and the developers, but you know what? We need those right tools. We need to know the systems, and we need to understand the business side of things a bit more. So we're doing that this year.
I love that because as a teacher, right? It's the biggest pain point we hear, and to the point, I think there's we saw this at the conference a little bit last year in the opening panel, but I think there's this frustration among recent coach graduates because you go into a coach training program, your eyes are wide open to like, oh my God, there's this thing that can change the world. Like let's all do it, and some either the wording, it makes it seem like it's going to be really easy. You just say, hey, I'm a health coach, and people are going to come knocking your door and throwing, throwing bags of money at you. And I told my students, listen, it was hard for me as a neuroscientist, physician background. It's a business. And to your point, In those 60 hours, or if you're lucky enough to do a master's program, those might include a little more. But most coach training programs, the minimum requirement, there's so much to learn skill set wise as a coach that sometimes that 1 hour lecture on business of coaching or the online module of you know not that it's not helpful, I'm gonna say, but doesn't help cross the finish line. you
Mhm.
know and I've seen lots of students, frankly, what I've kind of saw a lot, which hopefully Bobby's goal to help solve, people graduating not only to do and then not starting. Right. And so I think I hear from a lot of coaches on our platform that say, well, you know what, Diego, I really love coaching, but I don't really love tech and marketing. And they think that they're the only ones who view this way. I go, that's all of us. Otherwise, we would have been engineers or marketers. That's what we're coaches. Even coaches who have marketing backgrounds say, I don't like doing that. Yet, you mentioned something about philosophy or kind of theoretical stuff. Coaching, if we're not practicing, is only philosophy. And it's the application. So I did take an MBA afterwards. I don't put the letters there because I have one more product to finish up. You don't need to do that, but we can build communities of coaches and coach allies who really understand. Like my co-founders, they're coach allies. Their life was transformed by coaching, and they want to use their skill set to help coaches out. Right. So how can we build communities to support, now that we know what to do, how to effectively reach people and do it? Because I think that's the biggest problem too, is the awareness, and how do we teach people and give them tools to go fish.
Absolutely. It just, and again, I think it's so much, if you think about it. And again, we this is our focus in modeling it at the conference. If we approach so many of these things, and I'm going to name this, and maybe it's a new way of thinking for some people, maybe promote a little new perspective shift. If you think about your coaching business from a coaching mindset, I know that might sound really weird, like business isn't just over here and coaching's over here. Think about your business from that lens of what you actually do as a coach and what you know is really the power of the coaching process. And I think, again, I won't want to give away all the good things in store, but I think some of that's going to come up in that great closing session with Jen and
Mm,
Meg to really prompt us to say, instead of saying, oh, business, I don't do that, I don't do marketing, oh, that's not me. To be fair, if you really want to see the opportunity, the potential to impact people, and then I'm going to say something that I don't think gets enough attention in our field too, and you were just alluding to it, Diego. We only can create impact if it's sustainable for us to create impact. Like if you can't make a
mm,
living doing that, I mean, all of my work, and I'd say, I don't just say the words, I say, look across the history of my 20 plus year career. I do things for the right reasons. My heart is in the right place. I'm doing things for the betterment of society. I mean, that is how I'm born and bred. And at the same time, I have to be able to make a living. I would like to have a roof over my head. I'd like to be able to have food to eat. If this just becomes a passion project, and I will say what you've heard, Diego, out there in the world, the data, like I go to the data from the national board when they put out that survey every year. Most of the people with the credential that actually completed the survey, they're not practicing. Well,
yes.
Diego, that doesn't help if there's a workforce of, we're excited to say, like 14,000 plus people. If most of them aren't actually in the workforce, well, then what are
Yeah.
we doing exactly? What are we doing? So I do want to say this
Yeah.
stuff has to be sustainable. And I do remember that opening panel. Those were the hard questions. It was the staff from the national board really sharing in great things we've done as a field. And there were people raising their hands and getting on the mic or typing in the chat, those virtually, and they were asking hard questions. They were like, I can't
Yeah.
make a living doing this. What are we going to do? That's what the
Yeah.
conference is there for. And I hope the spirit of this conversation reflects what we do when we come together as a community.
Yeah. You said doing a coach approach way that obviously resonated with me as a fellow coach, but I think that's where people assume that like it's a given skill. They go, well, my friend's success is over in success. You're seeing the tip of the iceberg of everything underneath. And that if I mean, to give parallel here, I actually designed Vibe that you can set up your account all at once or step by step, right? And coach approach way, a big part of that is understanding your own values and drivers, right? Because being an entrepreneur or solopreneur is going to be a lot of work. As Elise Wagner said, but it's the quickest path to self-actualization. You're going to learn all yourself, and it's a lot of learning. It's tough, but it's wonderful, and it's wonderful. So that one is that getting back to your why, your values there, and then also finding accountability and support. One thing I've done in our community, I used to do these like support hours, and it started off as I thought for questions on the platform, right? Like how do you set something up or something like that. But I realized was most of the questions were what you alluded to, like well, now what? I'm like, oh, well, try creating a workshop to generate leads for yourself, right? Show some value. They know who you are. You're creating awareness. Most coaches never heard of the marketing funnel, the term value prop, and it can feel overwhelming. I go, yeah, at one point, I didn't know those either. I learned it over time. So if you can approach this as saying, this is a long term goal, right? Not like someone, I saw someone who, after 3 weeks, said, it's not working. It's only 3 weeks. I have no clients. I'm like, no industry, no profession. I don't care if you sell cupcakes. It's gonna take longer than 3 weeks. So education, understanding, and then patience and grace with ourselves to do this. And the good thing here, what I've seen is that here's the reality. I'm trying to work on this myself. Most coaches give more to others than ourselves, right? Which I'm working on. We all should be, and or could, maybe I should. um, that's opportunity to support each other. I've seen coaches in our community be like, I'm stuck on writing my about me. I'm stuck on doing the title for my workshop. Coach each other, accountability, support each other. So I think there's really opportunity. You mentioned community, us helping each other in parallel. Because one myth I also kind of heard, I think I wanted to dispel this idea of competition in the field. That is not our bottleneck at all. Right? There's plenty of people who can afford coaching, believe it or not, and just they don't know it's valuable or what it can do. So that is not what's limiting you in growing. It's people don't know what coaching is. It's on us to educate our communities. And okay, one more thing, making a living. Something that I've seen as well come up, mindset shift. And I'm still working through it sometimes, to be frank with you. But someone when I was training, I was doing a lot of pro bono stuff. In medicine, I did 5 nonprofits. I ran one of them. There's a lot of Vibely Gives Back, nonprofit work. My heart's.org. But one of my mentors pulled me aside and she said, listen, Diego, if you keep on only giving this away, this is only going to be your hobby, your passion project. You can only do your hobbies on Sunday afternoons. If you want to, in your lifetime, serve more people and help more people, you got to figure out a way to make it sustainable. And that helped me go from, even though it's not for me, okay, I want to serve others, I can actually make it sustainable so I can serve others more effectively and efficiently. I'll pause there because I threw a lot at you in one long rant.
Just that piece. I mean, I say even just and the health and wellness space, one of the things we can look to are those models or the dimensions of wellness. One of them is financial wellness. We never, I mean, to be honest, I just say it's so
Yeah.
fascinating to me how much proportional time gets spent on different things. Financial wellness is like I hardly even hear it mentioned because it feels almost like, oh, if I'm thinking about myself, because again, I think we are all, I will speak probably for the field, but someone can correct me. I think we are all that kind of like, we are givers. We really want to help other people. It's why we get into this field, into the work that we do. And this is like an underpinning of the conference. Many things, again, you see it lived out in intentional action, not just words on a screen
Mm,
or a website, but really a place to fill up your cup as a coach, to connect in community, to be nourished with healthy food, to engage in mindful activities, because we have to be able to do this work. Did you hear the data I shared? People are earning the credential and then not practicing with said credential, Diego. I mean, like, that
yeah.
is a cause of concern. And when people are
Yeah.
raising their hands, as I am, like literally raising their hands and saying, I've vested money in training programs. To be fair, they're not cheap. We should name
No,
that.
no.
They're earning board certification, studying diligently. That is not cheap. Maintaining
Hmm.
continuing education to maintain said credential. That's not cheap. And people
Membership
want
fees. Hmm.
membership fee. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And yet it's interesting. We kind of have this like, well, if you're in it for the right reasons to do good, to serve, the world, oh, you shouldn't think about yourself. Well, then you won't have a career. You just won't. I mean, that is
Yeah.
going to be the hard reality. So it is a conversation that we do want to continue to have through the conference, where we want to
Yeah.
shift that mindset, that coach approach to say having a sustainable living, Diego, that's what actually enables you to create impact. We should be excited about the change we can create within the people we serve, within the communities that we live in, and within the field more broadly. Because I will name one thing when you said that part about it's not competition, it's collaboration and community. If you look at the end of the day, that is what always is the underpinning of any great success. It's the people. And it's the people
Yeah.
unifying, coming together, having hard conversations, and propelling things forward. If you look at the history, even the National Board for Health and Wellness Coaching, The early days, go back to the history lessons. I mean, you had quote competitors, different coach training programs, and they said, you know what, wait a minute. If we came together, we could do great things. And here we are today. But here's the next part. I love in this conversation, Diego, we've name dropped a few people. Names probably people haven't maybe heard of or aren't as
Mm,
familiar with. I love that we're also recognizing insights, valuable perspectives. They don't come from just one, two, or five people. I mean, that's insane. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'll just
yeah.
name that crazy to think that the only people are like a few people speak for an entire profession. Not true. So we're going to get the people together. We're going to bring the expertise. We're going to shine a big old light on it. And we're going to have these conversations and we're going to create the change we want to see together. I love this,
Mm.
Diego. You know, I get fired up and I'm like this
I can hear your
all
passion
3 days,
there.
everyone. I'm like this morning, noon, and night because I believe in this so strongly. And then I'm going to say this
Yeah.
thing. When you believe in something, Diego, I'm putting my money on the line. Like my husband and I fund this whole thing. We just said, you know, we're going to put this out there. We believe in this. And you know what happened? People came together. And you know what?
Yeah.
Yes, in those early days, we do things, we still ensure we have something accessible. People can be a part of it. We do scholarships. Like this is who we are. But at the same time, it's got to be sustainable long term, or else, to be honest, this enthusiasm, it ain't going to have a space to get together. So we do need to be able to shift our mindset about our profession and how we make a sustainable living as coaches.
Yeah, I loved hearing your passion, and in person. It's even more so. And your passion is tall in your stature, and I mean that because your passion is so big, not because
Because
you're, you know.
I'm not tall, Diego, but maybe on screen I've been told I
But
look a little taller, but in real life you'll find out I'm not that tall. But
but you
yeah, I
feel
have a lot.
tall. You have a
I feel
powerful
tall because I
presence.
have a lot of enthusiasm and I back
Yeah,
it up with action. And that's the part. I'm not just centering
yeah,
myself, but to say that's the stuff we need more. I'm just going to cut right to the chase, Diego. I'm a New York native, though I love California as my home for 20 years
yeah,
now. Let's get right to the point. To be really fair, we have got to back up words with action. We've got to do it. I mean, and we should hold ourselves and the
yeah,
field accountable to we can I hear a lot of the same echo chamber conversations. They sound lovely and honky dory, and then we got to actually do the doing. And I say this with confidence because I can show what I've been doing. I mean, I'm building jobs for people. I mean, like I can actually say I've done those things. I've engineered
yeah,
how to fund positions for coaches in clinical practice, not in theory, not in some distant future. Like over the last 8 years. So we all
yeah.
need to come to the table and say, what can we individually and collectively be doing? Actions, not words, Diego. Those are my favorite.
I'm so with you. I'm getting riled up here in my seat. I almost want to stand up in the standing desk here. But to reflect back, I very aligned here. No surprise, you and I connect well because, yeah, Vibely is self-funded. It's that you want to do it right. People aren't doing it. Weren't seeing it happen in the field. Yes, it is hard. Yes, it is scary. But if we do the same thing over again, we're not going to get different results, right? And it's this ability of collaboration. So instead of lamenting, oh, I'm not sure if overwhelmed, well, let's figure it out. Everyone throughout history has always figured out how to move forward. That's what human beings do decently well if they connect with each other. So the power we have as our neural circuits when they work in parallel, right? We see different things. So, for example, those people who are supporting people in their coaching business, well, Bob is doing the technology part. We can collaborate with a shared value of improving the profession. We can do it through all our parallel efforts: education, outreach, more advocacy, more coverage, right? And this ability to collaborate, even on the solo level. So, kind of going back to the competition collaboration perspective, um, you know, part of Vibely's goal, and I'll make sure a quick story to prove this from a client experience. We see most of coaching going for the data ends up being private coaching, at least word of mouth or referrals, right? People say, well, how do I get started if I have no clients? Chicken or the egg? It's like, yeah, it's like getting a job, right? You need experience, but you don't have experience. We've all figured it out, right? Similar idea. And there's ways of doing it through workshops, et cetera, et cetera. But the problem, or not problem, the opportunity is what I meant to say, that I see the field that Vibe is trying to do is that because right now it is so segmented, or it was before the national board was kind of an umbrella, right? It was like, well, what makes this person this? Oh, there's a national organization that certifies. There's a standard. There's trust now, right? Even I'll be honest with you, Jess, my friends, my dear friends that I trained with in residency, in the trenches, right? They knew I found coaching. I was like, this is where it's at, guys, and they're all excited for me, right? When I told them, oh, I passed the board exam, they're like, the board? They're like, guys, where's the excitement before? These are my dear friends, right? Who know me. We've gone through everything together, right? So there is such a power in that unifying kind of perspective, but unifying doesn't mean to be the same. So
Mm,
here's my version for Vibely, right? We coach. What I find wonderful about coaching is, yes, we have the same lens of transitional tools, MI, poly psychology, but we combine this with our background resources, lived experience, future vision. The way I coach parents is based on my pediatric experience, right? And some of the things I've seen there. I've seen someone do on our platform podiatric foot health for the elderly for fall prevention. Never thought about that, right? So if we can have a community where say, look at all these people, like doctors, they're all different. A radiologist is a different job than being a pediatrician. One sees no people, one sees only kids, right? It's just a different job. And so people are saying, oh, but what's in common with everyone here in this hospital wearing this white coat, all these people are that they're here to help out in their unique way. So hopefully Bobby can say, I want to help coaches connect to each other so they can refer friends and family they can support. So one mom asked me to coach her mother for weight loss. I was talking with her about her kid may have maybe on the spectrum. We're helping through that diagnosis, that change for the family. She asked me a few sessions in to coach her mom for weight loss, and I was like, it's better someone who loves this stuff. Let me talk to someone on Bible who does. And so if we can understand that we can collaborate and create networks, even if we're sole provider, we don't have to be associated with the San Diego University, right? And then people start learning, oh, it's not like Diego helps families and Jess helps coaches and someone helps people with weight loss. It's, oh, this is what coaches do, and this is their kind of area of focus, right? And the last thing I'll say here, the proof of concept try to do. I'm curious your thoughts here. Um, when I moved to this apartment last year, I was waiting for with my realtor for the other realtor to do the inspection, et cetera, right? And he goes, "What do you do?" And I was like, "I'm a coach." And he's like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Okay, can I actually show you something? I built a coaching platform to find coaches. Do you mind while we wait uh, checking it out?" He's like, "Sure." He'd never heard about coaching before, right? Sits down on the sofa, pulls out his iPad, goes to Vibely, and did the AI matching to find a coach. He was in his late 20s, maybe early 30s, and realtor, and he got matched with executive and leadership coaches. He wanted to do more his own business, right? Financial health is health also. um, and so he's looking at his matches, right? His top 5 matches. And then I'll never forget because he looks up at me. So before we kind of announced what we were doing, it's kind of our test phase. He looked up at me and he goes, "Wait, can my aunt use this? Her cholesterol is terrible." 5 minutes ago, he had never heard of what a coach was. But because he saw coaches working in parallel in different professions, he's like, oh, this is a commonality. They help people change, and I can find my fit. The way a mall has clothes, but you find your fit. So, anyways, I'll pause there. Through, as always, law at you, Jess.
Well, I mean, that you talk about the power of relationships and recognizing it as collaboration over competition. This is how great things die, Diego. So that's I'm like a really emphatic train today. If we think it's like, oh, if someone else is succeeding or I send a potential client, like it's somehow detracting from my business, it's the polar opposite. I say this from real lived experience as a professional wearing a lot of different hats over the course of my career. The more and more we support each other, we all get better together. We all win together. So that, I mean, again, this is what comes back, the heart of the conference, the space for that, the intentionality of bringing people together, to shining a light on those distinct differences. Because you are correct, and I'll be truthful, these are, again, just food for thought. Maybe the people listening right now can think they might have their naturally, you all have your own perspectives, but to be fair, sometimes we talk about even health and wellness coaching as like a monolith. Like it's just like health and wellness coaching. Well, I mean, Diego, the story you just shared gives so many different nuances to that. That yes, we're
Mm.
unified with a set of standards, right? The 75 hours of coach training and education in areas A, B, C, and D, and new competencies as you were involved with coming out in 2026. But I say that's the foundation. That's not the totality of the picture. And the more
Yes.
we can recognize, I don't have to be. I know people do see this about me. I like to wear a lot of hats because I'm multi passionate, but also I don't do everything, Diego. I don't know everything. This is my curiosity as a coach. And I love to learn, I love to connect, and I love to see people thrive, right? That's what we do as coaches. Why don't we think about that in our professional circle as well? Where we actually
Mm.
refer people, you know what, a coach that's focused on this, I know just the right person. because I met them last year at the conference, and we've stayed connected, and we have real relationships, not just a here's my business card, give me a call when you need something, or I'll call you when I need something. Real
Yeah.
relationships, Diego. It is a
Yeah.
core aspect, it's a core pillar of lifestyle medicine, that connection piece. And it's something central to success in our field. I think a lot of people overlook it. I'm just being totally truthful with you.
I appreciate you bringing that to the table, Jess, because you're right. It's multi-layered here, right? So let's look at just business in general. So saying people do business with people they know and like, right? And so you are part of why Vibely not only has services is there's Vibely meetings now. So you can talk to a fellow coach or a colleague, or maybe you're trying to make a consulting connection for a university to help put coaching into there, right? It is that, and so part of being a solopreneur, entrepreneur is your network, right? And how to refer. And there could be, when you're starting off, this feeling of scarcity of clients. So you don't want to say no to anything, but it will come back. It's not just karma, it's just kind of real thing. People trust you. You say, you know what? And after this playing, you invite me, hey, you know, we're actually not a good fit. You know, I don't have this tool yet for you. I wouldn't like I'd recommend X, Y, and Z. That is what people remember. That's the trust you build that comes back to you. And if we look at our profession, when I see we've talked about this, I think last time briefly, the pay of some coaching companies and it not being where we want it to be. Let's put it that way, to put it lightly. All right. Not only that, for the coaches, as someone in the chat says, sustainable career is health and well-being and wellness. But also, if people don't know what coaching is, and these companies are saying, "Hey, you're a coach. Talk to your coach," and all you're doing is sales or triage, people then who've never exposed to coaching think that's what it is. Someone just giving me sales or triaging. So if you can support someone well, it's better to delight a few people than kind of be okay for a lot, both for your own business, but also for our profession.
Mm. Oh, I mean, again, I'm only centering the conference because it's top of mind, it's front and center for me right now, as it's just about 3 weeks away. But even the conference, so I'll use this example because the conference is a wonderful example, an illustrative example people get to experience of the business aspect of really doing what you are called to do, serving people, supporting change. So the conference is that, and I'll share. Now, from a business perspective, Diego, people would say, wait a minute, you limit the number of people who can come to a conference? That sounds like the antithesis of a good business model. You're saying, wait, you won't just take everyone under the sun to come to it? No, we want to deliver the value. You said, instead of trying to be like, I'm serving all these people, really over delivering to core people. It's why we limit
Yeah.
we want the conference to be above and beyond what anyone expects a conference can do. I feel pretty good that we've delivered on that. We're going to keep doing that this year and for the years to come. But to really vest in the people you serve, because what you said, Diego, people then will be like, wait a minute, when my friend needs a coach, when my mom needs a coach, when somebody else, I know the perfect, it's Diego. I mean, he's the person, he's helped me do this. You want to really vest in your people. And you really also, I think it's important, and I think I say this as a professor, when I don't know the answer to something, you know what I don't do? I don't try to pretend I have the answer or I've had that experience. Like, I haven't done that. Yes, sometimes I love when I can speak with authenticity and say, because with my receipts, if you will, I can show you I have done this. Here's what I've learned. Here's what I've experienced. But I never try to claim to be anything I'm not. And if I don't know the answer, I don't know the answer. I love curiosity, being like, I don't know. But you know who? I know someone who could maybe help out, or maybe we could find the answer together. We need more of that in our field. Is that being humble, Diego? Like, I think we need maybe some more humbleness amongst some aspects of our field to say, when we don't know, that's okay too. But how are we going to get the answer? I don't leave my students hanging and say, I don't know, go figure it out. But like, get curious about how will we arrive? How do we, I'm going to lean into the part you just mentioned. How do we see better pay for some of these coaching positions? Now,
Mm.
Diego, I know, I mean, I'm not giving away the conference. This is stuff we're going to talk about there. If I'm being really truthful, I'm just putting it out there. We are having a little bit of an identity crisis. So I'm going to leave something big here. I don't know, maybe it'll resonate, but I've been toying around with this. We're having a little identity crisis in the field. Are we a health profession, or are we a certification that relates to health? And I say that now, those have
Mm.
aspects together, but I only say the challenge is going to become when you set minimum standards. That's credentialing language, that's a good thing. But minimum standards, presently there's 75 hours of coach training and education. To be honest, there's also a lack of clarity about what a health and wellness coach does, what's really the requisite knowledge, skills, training. What does this profession really entail? but yet you have some jobs coming out, and to be honest, it's like throwing spaghetti on a wall. They're just like, I don't know, I think these people get paid blank. I mean, there's really no rhyme or reason to it. And this, every field has struggled with this, but we need to
Mm,
get organized and unified around how do we really communicate the value of coaching. I'm going to be so loving, Diego. It's not enough just to read the description of a coach from the board's website. I mean, like, that is long winded at best, and it ain't resonating. I mean, people are unclear. We have to have a more intentional way to communicate what it is a coach does, who we are, the value we provide. And then we've got to really get with employers, the
yeah.
places that are employing coaches, and help them understand, help shape what is the value of coaching. And we got to be real about the dollars and cents. We also have to be honest about what really 75 hours of coach training and education, what does that really look like in practice and in business models? I don't think this is stuff to shy away from. We got to start being
Yeah.
honest with ourselves about this. Is that loving enough?
Yeah.
I only know how to tell the truth. And if I say it in one room, Diego, I'll say it in every room and in a recording for all of time. It's the truth.
That's what I love to see there, right? Because I think this is what the conference is so different, right? It is not just, hey, bunch of sunshine and rainbow. You leave positive with more hope and more excitement, 100%, because it was authentic and honest. And you're like, there's some problems here. How do we all want to do it? And guess what? As humans, by ourselves, we only see one perspective. When we're other perspectives, that's where the new brainstorming comes up. I mean, to your point about the conference, I remember Laura Timbrook. She's my first podcast episode guest. I met her at the conference, and she's coaching for shift care workers, right? And so, if it's the and to your point about what is coaching, right? Like, I'm trying to. Here's a good example of collaborative effort, right? I'm trying to add to the profession by having this podcast, having MDs, PhDs, educators. Next week's gonna be a neuroscientist, PhD neuroscientist. How about this is science, guys? It's not just someone with a webcam who loves people and giving advice, right? But you can do it by talking to your community. I'm trying to bring a lot of neuroscience to the field so people understand this is a scientific process, not someone who just loves people. Like I've always said, I love my dog. It doesn't make me a vet. Loving people does not make you a coach.
Well,
It's
Diego,
not
can I
how this
say though?
works.
I have to share, because how in the world have I not highlighted? Hi, you're going to be talking, you're speaking at the conference this year about this very topic. I mean, this is so important. And again, it's elevating those voices, the perspectives, the insight, the experience. I love Laura, like you mentioned. Laura will be coming back to the stage, joining me to kick off the conference with a really great
Nice.
opening session about what this whole conversation today has been about, Diego: leading through change. It's what we do as coaches, it's what our field needs, and it needs all of us. And I love that we can bring
Yeah.
those different perspectives, that we can really elevate voices. This is what the conference, I mean, this is the heart and soul of what we do. We will never waver from this, because to be fair, there's a million other conferences doing things that aren't remotely like this. To be honest, lovingly, if that's what you're looking for, no shortage of things. There's lots of virtual summits and other stuff where you're just like fly on the wall. Not what we're going to do. It's not who we are.
Yeah.
It's not what we're all about. But I will share one thing that a lot of people don't realize. Yes, being in sunny San Diego, I mean, who doesn't want a great weekend in San Diego, in
Yeah.
community, eating nourishing food? But I'll tell you, from the very beginning, we actually had conversations with the coaches, and people were saying, I need to connect with other coaches. I want to have those collaborative relationships. Jessica, I can't come to San Diego. Like, I just can't make it work. I'll be honest, Diego, things are hard out there in the world. If you live
Yeah.
in the real world and are a real human, stuff's not always sunshines and rainbows. Doesn't mean we shouldn't be
Yeah.
hopeful and optimistic, but we've got to be realistic. And stuff's hard
Yeah.
right now. Jobs are being cut. People are really, they're struggling. And we wanted to make sure
Yeah.
there was an accessible option for all people. It's why we have the virtual option to join the conference in real time, check out the recordings. Like, you'll never miss a beat, but we want people to get together. And we'll do
Yeah.
anything we can figure out. To be honest, Diego, I love pulling back the curtain. When people asked us about doing a virtual live stream, we were like, we don't know how to do that, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Like, we weren't planning for that. And we said, you know what? We will figure it out. We can figure out stuff together as a field,
Yeah.
but we've got to bring our hearts. We've got to bring our challenging questions. We got to bring it all. And that's what we're going to do
Yeah.
October 17th through 19th, Diego. If people don't know, why don't you know? You should know by now. I've been on the podcast. This is my second time. You're so
Yeah.
gracious to have me. But we want people to be there. This is our field, and this is our time.
Yeah, no, I love your passion, and this is, and I mean, I had you back on because it's like so important, and this is To everyone to know, yes, I am so honored to be a speaker here, and I want to pull out the curtain too. I loved from the moment. People don't know. Last year, I was lucky to go in person. Well, I got lucky. Someone had to miss last minute. I was able to go in person or virtual. But I think the key here is synchronous, right? Synchronous connections are way more powerful, more efficient than asynchronous connections, right? Talking to someone in person in a room or in person virtual is second best. Asynchronous is third best, right? And so I was really amazed when I went to the conference. To your point, the size of it. You mentioned it was on purposely limited to this room because you didn't walk in and we're like, I'm never. By day two, you see familiar faces. Like it's not this like you're gonna fly on a wall. It's like I remind me of my small high school, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
Like you're in a class of, like you can still kind of know who's in the class. I mean, I don't know everyone, but it was that kind of feel, not as massive. I don't know. State school for our undergrad, for example, right?
Mhm.
And then, so love the conference, and we talked about all the different variety of talks and areas. But then when we spoke later on, I loved your values. You mentioned during the conference and even here. It's not a pay to play speaking position. It was like who is going to be there and what are they going to bring to the field. And I'm honored. Like I was able to be on the committee you started on upping the standards, put neuroplasticity on there, and my goal there, yes, it's my passion, but it's the foundation of what we're doing. And I see when I teach people, if they knew a little more, I'm always giving a little more teaching after hours. Here's my cell phone, call me for more information, right? If we understand this, I think coaches will be more confident and learn more skill set, and that will translate to being more confident in the marketing, in the sales, and better in the session,
Mhm.
right? So that's my goal is through education help there too. But I love that you've really been methodical about it and very intentional. It's not pay to play. It's not who's throwing money. You have to be invited to speak, right?
Mhm.
Sponsorship is a separate thing. So I am really stoked for that experience. Not just for me to speak. I can't wait to learn, see everyone else, see you again. And one of your values you had was giving back. And so maybe we could talk about like delight and surprise, a little thing that we're doing at Vibely. And we can go with this number, Jess, if you want.
Oh, good, good. Well, I'm absolutely, and that's again over delivering. These are, as you hear me talking about the conference, it's not just me going, come to our conference. I'm trying to sell you something. I'm just trying to offer an opportunity to come together to learn and get better and to see our field evolve in the way we want to. It won't happen by not having your voice in the conversation. Like it just won't. So we need all the voices. But in part of the conference, you are right. We will never, ever, ever hear this, and it is recorded and documented for all of time. We will never have pay to play speakers. I won't do it. I mean, Diego, if it puts me out of business, I will rest comfortably knowing I've stayed true to my values. That part I won't waver on. But here's the business side, because I do want to say, as things evolve, to be honest, the conference has to be sustainable. You did hear I work a few full time jobs, Diego. To be fair, the conference is not where I'm making a living. But to be fair, I
Yeah.
want to ensure there will be this can continue on. It's been impactful for people. We hear the feedback. And one of the things we've evolved our thinking is we won't ever compromise the quality of the education. Speakers are invited because they are experts, they have insights, they are the doers of the doing. That's why they get invited and that's why they're speaking, not because they pay us money to do that. But we did evolve our thinking around sponsorship. See, sponsorship to me was kind of like an icky word, maybe like marketing is to some coaches out there. And I was like, oh no, that'll take away from the values. That's not be. But to be fair, it's aligning, we said collaborating with like minded organizations who share our values, who provide those services and insights and experiences that will elevate the field. So I'm delighted the National Board for Health and Wellness Coaching, again, gosh, it's just as a cornerstone of our field. They're a sponsor for this year's event, and Vibely as well. And so here's the thing, Diego, and now I'm going to tell the surprise and delight. We over deliver. And with the great partners we have, we do tons of giveaways throughout the conference,
Mhm.
whether you're virtual, whether you're in person. You are our community, and we just give stuff away. Why? I mean, I don't make a dollar off of that, Diego. Like, I just want people to have the right tools, the right information. So I'm delighted that Vibely, if you tune in, ready? You need to be in your seat. Vibely is going to be giving away 3 1-year subscriptions. If you have been sitting here saying, I don't know what to do for my business, I mean, they've created the solution, you guys. This is crazy to me. And 3 people are just going to get gifted that. Diego, this is how stuff should be. We get better together, and what a genuine gift, truly, for Vibely to vest in the coach community and then say, then give 3 of them away. Let people thrive in their business because we get better together. We grow and we elevate together.
Uh, and I gotta say to Jess, I got a little goosebumps because when I went last to the conference, Vibely had just we were on kind of stealth mode. We were working on HIPAA compliance, and we're like, I think we were like a few weeks away from being fully, or just had done there, right? Just print out new business cards, and we're sitting in the seat and you talk about the scholarships you're giving away, and I was like, oh, I would love to one day give back. And to the point about it, it's giving back while being sustainable because if Vibely doesn't flourish, I can't help everyone out the way I want to help out, right? So how can we? My goal is support those who support others. I had a nice little roster of clients, but I want to help others have a nice roster of clients too, right? I want to create systemic change to where that was missing. So not only is Vibely just supporting one-on-one, but I'm hoping this conference to meet people who want to have coaching teams or enterprise because now we've evolved because our community support. They said, "Hey, do you do work for teams? I want to start a coaching company around this niche. I want to do this." And I'm like, let's try it out. We did a few kind of proof of concept, and it was so much fun. Kind of, again, supporting those who serve others. So I'm really excited to be able to pay this forward to the community, to add new tools, to see what else is out there, what else we're doing in parallel. So really honored to be a guest. And as we wrap up here, Jess, just one more time, where can people find out at the conference, whether they're going to be in person or virtual?
Yes, so the best place, come to our website, see what the program's all about. So the health, and we are the conference because we were the first one. So put it right in the title, Diego, the health and well-being coaching conference.com. Best place to see what we're up to, best place to get registered. I'm going to say this because it's so important. We are closing registration for the VIP experience in person. We're closing it on Tuesday, September 30th. That's it.
Okay,
If you've been
5 days
vacillating,
away.
this is the time to take action. Virtual registration as well. That's live stream plus access to the recording. So if you're in a different part of the world and it's the middle of the night, don't lose sleep because sleep's important for health and well-being. But there's also a virtual registration option. There's not a reason not to be there. And we want people to be
Yeah.
there. And I'm going to say one last thing, Diego. People don't know this maybe. With our sponsors, part of the sponsorship is also making scholarships accessible. We've done that since the very beginning. We've just given away scholarships. If you are somebody who says, I want to be there, and gosh, it's hard out there, Jessica, I really can't be there. We've made it as accessible price point as we can. But sometimes that's not always possible. That's why we offer scholarships. So you'll see that posted on our social. You mentioned on Instagram, Health Coaching Conference. We have a LinkedIn page. Connect with us because we give stuff away all the time. We just gave away Bill Miller's newest book. Why? I don't know. We're just like, we're going to give away the book. It's a great book. Bill Miller is Bill Miller. And we just love the
Yeah.
surprise and delight. So more to come, October 17th through 19th.
Well, just I cannot wait to see you in person, maybe give you a big hug, and then meet everyone else there at the conference. To everyone listening, thank you for today's episode, for the wonderful feedback. For everyone listening, we also offer a discount for Vibely to our listeners. Put in podcast 20, you get 20% off the next 3 months of service after 30 days free to get you up and started and running. So, Dr. Jessica Matthews, thank you so much again for being not only guest here, but what you've done for the field, laying the foundations, and what we're continuing to do now, hopefully together and collaborating. So, thank you so much, and I'll see you in a few short weeks.
See you in 3 weeks, Diego.